Hey everyone, I'm here to install Cliffy protectors on my Twilight Zone, and I believe there's about 5 protectors that go on this machine if you buy the kit. So I'm going to start today with this is the camera hole, like when you shoot it from the playfield and it goes into the side under the mini playfield. This is that protector, and that could get a little bit worn out at the lip of the wood of where the ball goes into the hole. So, and I believe the gumball may drop out into this too as well, which causes wear on that lip. So to prevent further wear, I'm going to install the Cliffy. But we need to remove this metal casing here that I believe that runs into the this subway ramp right here. And so we need to take out the screws that hold in the metal shielding here. And again, I'm using a magnetic screw wrench right here, which makes the job a lot easier. You don't have to chase the screws when they drop off into the bottom of the or into the bottom of the cabinet, or into your play field, into the wiring, and you're spending more time looking for the screw than you are actually doing the work. So this comes off. And then this is the protector. And it's like that. And then this goes on the lip. And I believe it goes something like sometimes you gotta like futz with it a little bit to get it into this. Sometimes the things don't drop in. Sometimes you have like the metal guide is over here for the ball guide. So this, where my pointer is, that lip's kind of got to snug onto the bottom of that. And then the screw hole to screw that in is, let me move my finger so you can see it, but this tab right here, where my pointer is, the screws into that. Once you put the casing back on that we took off, that'll hold this into place. So, and then it won't move. So basically what we're going to do is take our casing again that we took off, reattach it, and then that protector will be in place. So now no further wear should be put onto your play field once we get everything back together again. So I'm just going to finish screwing in all the screws back into this cover, and then we're going to go on to the next protector. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the metal protector that protects the slot machine scoop here from any further wear, where my pointer is again. So what you need to do is take off this ball ramp here, which there's a bolt here above the slingshot. So this has to come off. So that comes off, and then these screws here with the sign for the the Gumball machine has to come off as well. And then we'll just put this sign on the side here, because there's a connector over here that connects that in. And then this post has to come off. And then we're going to take the ball lane, the ramp, and just put it on the side. And then this has to come off as well, this plastic piece. So we're going to need so now that's out. Remember to take your light bulb out too. There's a bulb in here, the yellow bulb. It has to come out as well. And this piece comes off. We're going to put that on the side as well. I clean up a little bit in here too, since the plastic piece is off. Now that that's off, we're going to take our protector, which is that, and this lip here, the tab that comes out would go towards the front of the cabinet, so that way it would point down towards, you know, if you're playing the game. Okay, I had to do a couple modifications before I put this scoop protector actually back in. What I did was I loosened where my finger is. There's bolts that hold these ball guides in, like screws that hold the ball guides in. I loosened it up so I can move this around, so I could bring it up and down a little bit, so I could tuck the protector under it. So I just slid it in, kind of with that tab first, slid it in under the ball guide. And now, you know, you can lock it down and give it a good snug fit while it's, you know, that metal tab is clicking on the front of that piece of wood of the playfield to hold it in place. And then I take my wrench again and just get back. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. And then I just take my wrench again and tighten those screws down, those ball guides down again. I kind of loosened all the ball guides up, but you don't have to go through that extreme to do that. And then, again, I took the scoop out from underneath the playfield too, so it just gave me a little bit more room without having, you know, the big piece of metal coming up, so I could get my fingers in there if I had to, because there's only like 5 screws holding that in place. So I did that, and then what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to just get an alcohol, like Q-tip and a cotton swab here, and just kind of clean out inside there, since it's a little dirty, and since I have everything off, I might as well clean it. Okay, so now I put the scoop back in from underneath the playfield again, and now we're going to put the plastics back on, so I'm putting the plastic onto that, and now I need to find the nuts for that. So these are the 2 nuts that hold that down, the plastic. And you want to take, if you're kind of leery on taking things apart, you might want to take pictures of them before you take things apart, so you kind of remember where everything goes back. And just don't over tighten these. You don't want to crack the plastics or anything like that. So now we're going to put on the ball guide again. And that clamps onto the nut here on top of the slingshot plastic. And that other stand over here goes to that nut on top of that ramp. And then we took another stand off that's screwed into the top of this one. So we're just going to screw this down. So that's snug. So now we'll put on the Gumball sign again. And that's with 2 screws. Now these are different sizes. I believe the fatter one goes on the right side. And the thinner screw goes onto the left. Now, you just want to snug it down. You don't want to tighten one side. Get them both in first so you can move it around a little bit, just so the screw stays in place. So now that they're in place, we're going to put the nut back onto our ramp here and put it back onto the slingshot. Sometimes you kind of have to align these ramps so the ball drops properly. It doesn't go on top of the slingshot or outside the ramp. On Medieval Madness it's more like that. This one's not so bad. So now we're going to take our magnetic screwdriver here, Phillips head, and tighten these screws down. And that's it. So now we have our slot machine protector in place now. And it's not going to go. I cleaned out the inside of this under the plastic, so I don't think it has been cleaned in a while. So since everything was removed, I cleaned it. Cleaned the ball guides here. And again, I just loosened the ball guides to get this protector underneath that, then tightened everything back down once I was able to get the protector under the guide, and have that lip of that metal of that protector clamp onto the front of this playfield, so it's snugged into place, and then when the guide goes down, it gives it more security, so it's not going to move. So that's in place now. So we're going to move on to next is the rocket launcher, which is over here. There's a Cliffy that goes into the actual switch activator, because it gets worn a bit, and Cliffy makes a metal protector to protect further wear of the switch and the ball coming out of that and damaging your playfield. As he makes a protector that we're going to put on in a minute for this, where the ball drops off the ramp onto this switch on the in lane, which could cause damage to your playfield as well. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put in the protector for the rocket launcher that's over here. I already took the plastic off. There's 2 Phillips head screws that hold it in, and there's this metal plate that kind of goes on the top of that holds the plastic down onto these 2 rubber posts. So I kind of cleaned everything up already, cleaned this metal piece off. I cleaned the plastics before I put it back on. And then I also, what you want to do is, might want to clean this whole area in here, either with rubbing alcohol or with naphtha or something, to get the wax off the playfield, so your guide which is this, will stick better because there's two adhesive pieces on the back that need to come off here and here on this side to stick to the playfield. And also too, there's a protective plastic that's on all these pieces. You might want to remove that first before you apply, install these pieces onto the playfields, because they're meant to be taken off. I guess it's meant to protect the metal while it's being shipped or being cut and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do now is remove the adhesive from the backing of the protector, which isn't very easy to do if you have fatter fingers, as I do. That's one. Okay, so now I took the adhesive, the covering for the adhesive off. Now I'm going to put in the piece, and again it goes into the channel of where this switch is, and it goes kind of like all the way in the back. Then you would push the other end in to fit into the groove, and then it should just kind of pop in like that, and then just push it down into there and give it a little push to adhere to the playfield so it doesn't come up. And that should be it. And that should be in there for good. And Cliffy advises, if you're ever going to take these off, either use a citrus-based cleaner to take this off, to remove the adhesive sticky from underneath. I've read on Pinside that some people use a hair dryer to soften the adhesive so it doesn't lift up the art off the playfield or any of your clear coat or anything like that. I've never tried anything like that, so I don't really know, but that's the recommendations that I've heard. And then now to put the plastic back on, all we're going to do is put on this bracket on the posts. Then we take our plastic piece, which is that, and the two screw holes line up like that on top of the metal bracket. And then we'll take our screwdriver. But first we'll start just the screws. Because this bracket kind of moves as you're screwing this plastic down. So you want to kind of hold it into place. And then you kind of want to adjust it, so you don't see the bracket. And so the plastic lines up on your ball guide on your launcher over here, the ball launcher lane. That's it. So now the plastic's back on, it's covered up, and we have our metal piece in, our protector, and that's it. So next we're going to do the out lane protector, and it's the same idea as the rocket launcher lane, except it just protects the ball from when it drops into your out lane off the ramp. Okay, so now we're going to do the out lane, or I should say the in lane, I'm sorry. The in lane protector here. And you get some wear from the ball falling off of here onto your playfield, and it causes some wear, some worse than others on some machines. So what we're going to do now is put, again, it's a bit differently shaped than the rocket one, but it still does the same idea in a way. It protects that from the ball falling on top of it. And again, there's adhesive on the back. We're going to take that off. You might want to take your ramp off when you're doing this, I'm not. I'm going to try it with the ramp on as I'm doing it. And again, I cleaned the playfield already with naphtha, so it takes the wax off, so the stickiness of this protector will stick to the playfield and not lift. So now that it's off, I'm kind of going to squeeze it together to get in there, like just so it kind of condenses or compresses the protector, and it kind of just, my hand's in the way, but it kind of just slides in. You know, you press it together, it slides into the groove. I'm kind of just dropping it in like that into the groove, and it kind of expands as I'm doing it. And then that's it. And then you press it down onto your playfield. And that should prevent you from further damage or any damage to your playfield going on. And that's it. That's actually probably one of the easiest things I've had to do on a playfield yet. So next what we're going to do is, on the mini playfield, there's side rails that go on. Let me zoom to that actually, show you. There's a side rail of a metal guard that looks like this, that goes onto the side to protect that wood, and just to kind of make it actually look a little better. There's two pieces to that. There's this piece, and there's a little piece here, and I believe that goes on the corner here. And what you need to do is remove the screws of your posts over here, where my fingers are. This post, and then this post does the corner one, and then that actually screws into you know, the holes into your guide here to hold it down into the playfield. So that's the next guard that we're going to put on. Okay, so now we're going to put the protector on that is on the side of the mini playfield, and that consists of this protector and this mini protector here that goes on the corner over here on this side right here where my middle finger is. So basically how you do that is you loosen or take or remove the screws that are on the side that hold this slingshot into place, you know, with a little switch over here. And there's a screw that holds this light connector on too that has to be loosened so you can lift it up to get these three holes underneath that so it screws it down onto the playfield. There's a nut. There's a nut on top of this, and there's also a nut under it that holds it down. So that nut holds this bracket into place, but there's another nut that holds this down onto the playfield. So you need to loosen both nuts to lift up this slingshot to get this underneath. So now we're going to try to get this piece underneath these three posts here. And again, the holes line up with where the posts are. And it's hard because I'm on the other side of this. I kind of have to be where the camera is, but if I am, then you can't see what I'm doing. And there's also, you know, Cliffy makes it a great design here too, because there's also a little groove here where my pointer is, where the wires for the switch runs through, so nothing gets snagged. I think I have it in. Just take this off. Yeah, there we go. So that kind of goes down like that. So now what we're going to do is tighten the light one down. And you got to loosen the plastic to get to this where I'm screwing down right now. There's a plastic piece that goes down in there that goes on the top of that screws. Once I get this done, I'll show you. That screws onto this piece right here where my pointer is. So it kind of goes like that. So now we'll take our Phillips head. Okay. And again, you don't want to over tighten the plastics, you don't want to crack anything. So now what we're going to do is to tighten now the two nuts we have left for the posts. So we'll just snug this one down to get it started. So now that it's kind of in, now we could stretch this one out, drop that down, make sure that it's tightened, you know, down. And then again, there's a nut that screws down. And this has to come down more. Okay, so I put my camera back on, and now the bolt is tightened down. So it's going to loosen it a bit just to kind of position that. Okay, so now everything is back in, and then now I also screwed in this little corner piece, and we do it the same way as we did the other piece. We just loosen this corner screw enough to like have it give you, you know, some clearance underneath the plastic. And you just kind of push, you know, get the piece in there, the little corner piece, and just tighten the screw back down again. And that's it. So now you have the corner piece, the corner protector here, and then you have the other piece that kind of protects the side of the mini ramp. And again, the wires for the opto that's over here, this opto switch, runs through. There's a little gap in the metal piece that Cliffy made, but that goes through, and then we could put our light bulb back in here, laser red one instead of a yellow one. And then again, you've got to screw your plastic piece in here again, you know, we had to unscrew it to get to this little back piece here to put that little metal the spot for this metal guide on the side, to get that part of it underneath that little post that's back there, that's underneath the actual light, you know, the light fixture here with the bulbs goes into for lighting. So that's really it. So it actually looks really cool instead of looking at that, like, you know, wood that's all crapped up and all that like that. So now what we're going to do is the last thing I think on this for the kit is the ball guide. There's a protector, you know, for the ball guide lane. For the shooter lane, that protects, you know, the ball from when it launches into the shooter lane, you know, the wear on the shooter lane that could happen after you have your machine for quite a while and you get grooves or, you know, big black marks and stuff in your shooter lane. So that's the next stage. Okay, the last piece to put in for this Twilight Zone Cliffy installation is the ball trough, I guess you want to call it, protector. And basically how that works is that you need to take off your apron. There's two Phillips head screws that screw to the brackets that go into the machine, you know, that hold it down. There's two screws. You take those off, and your apron lifts off after that. So you need to take that off, and you need to remove the two screws, or three screws I should say. One here where my middle finger is, where my pointer is, and one that's back here is where my other pointer is. And the protector slides into that. And basically the way that you should position your protector is that the piece with the bigger metal end would go more towards the playfield. So that would screw down in there. And then you would take your 3 screws and screw them back in to the protector. And you know, just snug them up. Don't tighten them all the way down. Sorry if I'm hitting the camera. It's kind of right there. It's the only view, the only position I could have gotten to show you the 3 holes. And then this would be the last screw. And then we'll snug down our final screw. And then after that, you put your apron back on. And you're all set. So we put in like 4 protectors on here, I believe it is. 1, 2, 3, yep, 4 protectors. And they're actually pretty easy to do. They weren't really that hard. I know AC/DC, I put protectors on that, and that was a bear. This is like nothing compared to that. So it actually came out really well. So, you know, Cliffy makes a great product. I have a lot of his products on all my machines. And I like to get more for some of my machines because, you know, you never know. You don't want your machine to get worn out or get messed up over time. So it's great that he makes these things for us. So again, thanks for watching. And I have a YouTube site, my website, www.pinballsupernova.com. There's links to my WordPress page, my Facebook page, my YouTube page, and I believe that's it. So please subscribe to everything. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.